I know this from my time at Russia, running Russiagate for Devin Nunes. And I know we keep going back to it, but I'm trying to bring people back to it because this is what the Mar-a-Lago raid was about. There's documents in there that need to be made public that were never released to the public when Devin and I were trying to do that. And that's exactly what President Trump was doing when he was being a transparent president.
That was former Department of Defense Chief of Staff Kash Patel talking about the transparent president that Donald Trump was. Patel speaking to Newsmax yesterday with his take on the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago, claiming it took place because there were documents that needed to be made public. Joining us now, columnist for the Washington Post, David Ignatius. David, we show that clip because you've got a new piece up about Kash Patel and his role in all of this. Let's just take one step back and remind people who he is in the Trump orbit.
So, Willie, I wrote in April of last year a piece for the Washington Post in which I described Kash Patel, who began his recent career as a staffer for the head of the House Intelligence Committee, Devin Nunes, as being the Zelig figure, if you remember the movie Zelig. In Donald Trump's campaign against the deep state. He keeps reappearing in different guises. So in 2017, he's the leading investigator for Nunes, trying to show that the Russia investigation is really a hoax. By 2019, he's joined the White House staff working for Trump as a counterterrorism advisor. In 2020, he's sent to the office of the Director of National Intelligence as his chief deputy and is really leading the effort to place Trump rules for the intelligence agencies. He then is nominated in 2020 or pushed by Trump to be deputy director of the FBI. William Barr says in his recent memoir, "Over my dead body." That's how opposed he was to Kash Patel, because he saw him as an instrument of Trump and this war, which Attorney General Barr thought was misconceived, against the so-called deep state. Then there was an effort to appoint Kash Patel as deputy director of the CIA. At the end of 2020, he was initially proposed. Gina Haspel, then the CIA director, went to the White House and was told that the president intended to fire her deputy. Patel would come in instead. That stopped when Haspel said, "I'll quit if you do that." And then, fascinatingly, Patel has emerged in the last few months as a key point of contact for Trump in dealing with this question of classified documents being kept at Mar-a-Lago. Trump named him as one of the two representatives he wanted to have in dealing with the National Archives in this early summer, but before the search warrant was executed. And going back to May, before we ever knew anything about subpoenas or search warrants at Mar-a-Lago, Patel was publicly making the case that Trump had essentially unilateral right to declassify materials as president, and was continuing to argue that there were materials from the early days of the Russia investigation that would show that the government, the FBI, was working with the media, with the Hillary Clinton campaign to manufacture an investigation. This long-running argument that Trump and his supporters have had that it was all a hoax. In each of these different instances, you find the same person, Kash Patel. He's a fascinating, recurring figure, and now one of the leading advocates in the argument that Trump is making in his motion that his lawyers filed yesterday, and generally that he is really the captain of this ship of classified material.
David, I'm always interested in what people like Kash Patel do once they leave administrations, and what's he been doing since he left the White House? What's his day job? And is he caught up now in the legal investigation into all of those boxes? Is he somebody that the DOJ is wanting to question?
I can't speak, Caddy, to who the DOJ is going after. Those are precisely the issues that they're working very hard to keep the public from knowing about, but I have no evidence that he is. What Kash Patel has been doing since he left the government has really been working with Donald Trump. He's a director of the company that owns Truth Social, which is Trump's effort to replace Twitter as a conservative social media platform. He has become increasingly a spokesman and defender of Trump's prerogatives as a former president in dealing with classified material, and he continues continues to make the basic arguments Republicans have been making since 2017, that the Russia investigation was ginned up by Democrats. You can hear him on conservative talk radio, on Fox News, making those arguments almost every week.